Well, in the words of Martin Brundle, we may have a very similar looking podium, but the way we got there was quite something. What an opening round for the 2021 season at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton won it, but Max Verstappen gave him such a hard time of it. It was such a tense ending, and we're here for the very first race. I thought I'd do a raw reaction to that. I'm not going to be doing these for every round that comes, but I thought for the first race, let's give it a go, because you guys seem to enjoy it after Sakhir last season, and yeah, I'm still in disbelief of how close that was, because, you know, we saw after qualifying, obviously Max did a great job to get pole position by a couple of tenths on Lewis, and we thought, okay, but you never know until you get to the race. You know, the tyre wear kicks in, the drivers have to understand the tyres, and strategy plays out, and what a differing set of strategy it was, really, and it was, you know, confusing at times, but in a great way in the middle of that race, not knowing what Merc were doing, not knowing what Red Bull were going to do with Max. Obviously, they had kind of one car v2 situation. It kind of became 1v1 because eventually Bottas had that pretty naff pit stop. So it then just did become Lewis Hamilton v Max Verstappen. And my God, those last like 6-7 laps, so intense, heart-pounding, and obviously Max did technically overtake Lewis at one point around the outside of turn 4, went off all four wheels off the track on the outside, took the lead, was then, you know, told by his team probably let him by, and so he did let him by, and then it was unfortunate at that stage. Then it just looked like, you know, the dirty air off Lewis was just enough, and his tyres got to that point where he just couldn't quite close. You saw in Sector 1, he was mega quick, but then every time up the hill through that left-hander, he was losing some time, like at least 3/10 through that one. Then the next right onto the second last straight before the final bend, losing a further 3/10, and so it just wasn't enough at the end. But I think it's testament also to Hamilton's resilience and, you know, keeping calm under pressure. I don't think a lot of drivers necessarily in the grid would be able to handle that much pressure from, such a quick and aggressive and quick driver like Max Verstappen. I think only few drivers could soak up the pressure like that, and it's one of those moments again where you just sit, you look at the result and think, how's he done that again? At least that's what I'm like. I'm just like, how, after all of this, he's done it again. He somehow has come through to win the race. When we really looked like all the cards were, the deck was, put towards Max Verstappen, but that's not to say that Max didn't give him a great run, and obviously that was a great drive for him. Also, I feel like there's a sense of maybe a tinge of, maybe this is something that the last bit of Verstappen's game that needs to work on, because could he have maybe been more patient to overtake him elsewhere in circuit? Maybe that was the eagerness coming in of, I've got the pace, I want to overtake him straight away. Perhaps could he have been more patient, waited the next lap to then overtake him, down the main straight, or try again at turn 4 in a different way? I don't know. Who knows? You can't really say these things. That's up to the question. But, I've got it on my monitor here. 0.74 seconds between first and second. I mean, if it's going to be like that for the rest of the season, bring on the rest of the season, because that was just awesome. Really, really awesome. And then away from the two Titans there in that race, they were really very much in a league of their own, because Bottas was like, I think 16 seconds back before he made that extra pit stop to go for the Verstappen the Grand Prix, so very much those two in a world of their own. I mean, there was some absolutely stupendous drives all the way down the field. Let's start off with my boy from Quadrant, Lando Norris. Lando's done a biblical job there. P4, some awesome moves, full send at the very start of the race to overtake Ricciardo, the battle with Leclerc as well, and then just looked really comfy, just actually didn't look bothered the entire race, and that's pretty much a win for Formula B if you think about it. I know Perez was out of the race really, so that's really the max a midfield car could have hoped for really, so maximise the job, a top job for the first race. Perez though, let's talk about him. P5, exceptional recovery, saying that he started from the pit lane, but can we just talk about that moment when on the formation lap where his car was there? I think my heart was in my mouth, because what is with the second Red Bull car? I know he still finished the race then and actually came back for a stunning P5, but well and truly, what is up with that second Red Bull car? There seems to be just some sort of issue that just pulls him back by one hand, got one hand behind his back to not be able to perform at the max he was going to for this race. What could have been? He definitely could have maybe been challenged for a podium, seeing Bottas's pace, if he didn't have to do a pit lane start. So again, Red Bull need to try and really make sure, if Red Bull are serious about actually going for a championship fight fully, like this could be the year. Mercedes a bit on the back foot. Clearly over 1 lap pace, Red Bull looked great, and even in race conditions, like I said, things could have gone differently, and that could have maybe well and truly been Max's race to win. And it was Red Bull's to lose, really, as Brundle noted as well many times in the race. So if Red Bull can actually get a smooth operation, get both their cars there could be even more chance for them to play around, basically, and actually do something clever with the strategy to attack the Mercedes guys. So, but I definitely think Perez did himself really proud with that drive. Looked really good on the hard tyres, actually. I was surprised. Looks like Red Bull was a lot more comfier on the hard tyres than Mercedes. Obviously, Hamilton did a very short second stint and had to make that last stint count, which obviously he did, which makes it even more impressive in a way. But Perez showing some really good onus. Like, just the way he was darting around, it's definitely not something you would have maybe seen Albon do readily in that car last year. So I think Perez can be happy with that. Obviously not ideal start to the season for him with those issues on the Saturday at the start of the race, but he can, I think, build a lot of confidence from that. After that, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Sainz, I mean, just solid job for Ferrari. They did definitely look a little bit more comfier out there in the corners. Obviously, Leclerc over 1 lap on Saturday. Mega job yesterday, that was. And the race, I guess, definitely you saw McLaren and especially Lando just had a bit more race pace in there. I think Ricciardo got a little bit unlucky at the start, maybe getting held up a little bit in the fights he was doing, and maybe with a bit of a cleaner opening half of the race, maybe he could have been a bit more there. And to be fair, it wasn't that massively behind Leclerc. I think he was just struggling with tyre wear at the end as well. So I think some promising signs for Ferrari and also Ricciardo. Obviously, Ricciardo, like with Perez said it's going to take him 5 races to really get to grips with the Red Bull. I think you can say that with anyone getting in a new car. Ricciardo's going to take him a few races. He's said already before that, the biggest thing is for him under braking to get used to that. So I think he can be happy with P7. It's a solid start to his career with McLaren. And with Ferrari, I mean, Sainz was I'm not going to lie, a bit underwhelming. I was expecting a bit more from him, but ultimately that just shows how good Leclerc is. Maybe, that Ferrari still is a little bit not quite there with McLaren, and maybe that's just the difference between Leclerc and Sainz. Leclerc is able to really pull that, and I think you would agree with that statement just looking at Saturday's qualifying, because Leclerc's lap was unreal in that Ferrari on a Saturday. So I think it just showed through that maybe that is just that difference. And also the same thing, Sainz still getting used to the car, so he can't really be too harsh on criticising and kind of looking at that, I would say. Yuki Tsunoda then, P9, what a race for him. Looks so good and comfy out there. First F1 race. He's in F1 with such a short span of races in his entire career. I think like only 100 or so, or maybe less than 100, or just over 100. So it's a tiny amount of time for him to go from A to B from the bottom of the ladder to F1, and he looks so comfy out there. Looks so aggressive. Made a dive bomb on Alonso. I think that phase maybe Alonso was already having his car issues, but it was such a massive dive bomb. But it was like the car I tweeted out at the time. It was like the most calming dive bomb you've ever seen. And he's driving number 22, and obviously that was Jenson Button's number. Jenson Button used to be a very calm, smooth driver, so maybe that's bleeding through into that car for him. But no, I'm really happy for Tsunoda. Obviously, he had a very messy start for him and his teammate Gasly. Note for him, massive shame, but at the same time, he kind of just drove into Ricciardo a bit, got a bit messy at the start there, and then never recovered. I think he definitely probably had some damage, I think, because I would have probably guessed he would have recovered a bit more if it wasn't for some damage on his car, Gasly. So, real big shame, because you guys know I do have a soft spot for Gasly. I like to see him do well, and after such a mega year and mega qualifying for him, it was a massive shame, but it happens in racing. You live and you learn, and you go on, and you reset for the next one. But Tsunoda, what a great debut. 2 points on the board, and actually just looked really comfy out there. So, he's only going to build on that, and the way he's worked in previous formulas, I think he's just only gotten better and better as he's gone through, and he's a very quick learner. So I think that's going to be a really hot prospect for not just this season, but of years to come, I think. And then Lance Stroll, P10, did a decent enough job. I think Aston Martin, clearly, out of most of the teams, they've really been hurt the most with this rule change of the cut floor on the lower rate cars. They're talking about that during the race. And compared to Merc, maybe Merc have gained that back a little bit already with some things they've done on this setup and whatnot. But Aston Martin really struggled out there. So Stroll for P10, best he maybe could have got, it looked like, really off race pace. And then Vettel, I mean, it's painful to say, because I really want him to do well, and there's still time, I don't know, but he looked asleep at the wheel sometimes. I mean, the mistake he made with Ocon was just so so poor. Like, Ocon did not move in the brake zone. It was just a poor lock-up and just hit the back of him. And obviously, before that, he had a grid penalty that sent him to the back. Didn't make a difference because, obviously, he got caught out in qualifying, but also just didn't get the lap in early enough in qualifying. So, a bit of a half-half, the yellow flags and his own fault on Saturday. And then the race, they tried to do something clever with a one-stop, and it just didn't work out for them. A bit of a shame. Alfa Romeo, underrated, I think, so far. I think, they didn't get points, which is a bit of a shame. I think they deserved maybe 1 point, to be honest, with the way they were. But that is so much better than they were last season. They can I think they are very happy and proud of the work they've done over the winter. I mean, obviously, I used to work with them a little bit with the esports team in 2019, so I have a little soft spot for them, and it's really cool to see them back up there fighting for, I think we'll see this season, probably they're going to be back in that fight for the frame of those last points, those lucky maybe points you get on those crazy mad weekends. Whereas last year, they were just nowhere. So it's great to see them up in P11 and 12. Qualifying was great for them. Gio out-qualified Raikkonen, which was surprising, and good to see that Gio's got some confidence into this season. And in the end, Raikkonen had the overwhelming race pace. But yeah, really solid, I would say. No points, but they can build on that. Again, very good and promising. For Alpine, bit of a stinker, really. I mean, Alonso was looking really good at one point, and I've got to say, it was an amazing thing to see Vettel v Alonso v Sainz. That was for like 3 laps. It only lasted 3 laps, but it was so juicy. And just like, I don't know, obviously as someone who watched all 3 of those guys race in previous, watched Alonso and Ferrari, Vettel and Ferrari, and then Sainz and Ferrari, those 3 Ferrari-linked drivers just duking it out. And you had, obviously Vettel 4-time champ, Alonso 2-time champ, and then Sainz, the new blood in Ferrari. It was just sick to see them swap positions like that, especially when the one where Sainz actually got Alonso, but then Vettel got Alonso back as well at the same time. And I feel like it was a bit personal in a way as well between Vettel and Alonso and Sainz as well, because of that Ferrari link up and stuff. And obviously we know that Vettel and Alonso haven't exactly been best friends in Formula 1 in the past, so that was really enjoyable to watch. But then obviously kind of unraveled a little bit for Vettel, and then Alonso had to retire. I want to say a little bit worrying, I'm not going to lie, for Alonso, in terms of he's yet to do a full race distance in the Alpine car. He's not done it in testing. It was going to be this race. That's a bit of a shame. But also at the same time, solace for fans of his is that he was going, before those issues clearly were hampering him a bit, and when Yuki sent him down the inside, he was going really well. I think, you saw that Fernando Alonso of old. There was that spark before the race where you just thought, oh, hang on, we've actually got Alonso starting a race here. You know him. He's such a good starter. Could be a madness. And so it's great to have him back on the grid. Just a bit of a shame. An Alpine operationally just not great. Ocon, very quiet race. He was, again, underwhelming. For me, just backs up. I don't see the hype around Ocon personally. He's not shown me enough that he's, able to recover from that position. Because if you have Alonso qualifying that high in P9 and racing for, in the points, if you're looking to, show your worth, you should be able to recover back up to, I would say, just outside the top 10. But Ocon obviously then got hit by Vettel, so we don't know fully. But I thought a bit underwhelming for him. And then, I mean, Haas, Schumacher, bit of a quiet race, had that spin obviously early doors, kind of recovered a bit and then just settled down. It's his rookie race, but these things happen, and the Haas just isn't a great car. And his teammate, I mean, Massive Spin really was the name for it, because he wasn't even racing anyone. He was literally side by side with thin air, and he span out. And I don't think anyone was upset at that. It was, what a shame. What a shame that was. But I really enjoyed that. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments below, but I thoroughly enjoyed that opening round. Like I said, I'm not going to be doing these raw reactions for every race. I thought I'd just do a one-off for the very first race, since it was going to be maybe a tasty race like this, where we finally have a Red Bull v Merc battle. So I thought I'd do a raw reaction, and obviously because also it's been a great day in the office for my bro Lando Norris to get P4 there. Well, I think the quadrant Q gave him some extra speed on the top of his temple, I must say. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy it, then do let me know. Maybe I do them for, the special rate. I don't know, maybe like, British Grand Prix down the line. But to be fair, I hope I'm actually at the British Grand Prix down the line. So I don't know. I definitely wasn't planning on doing this regularly. The usual thing will be your F1 comments, which will still be coming out tomorrow, by the way. So check the channel back for that video tomorrow. But I thought I'd just do this one since you guys did enjoy the Zakia one. And yeah, and also to be fair, as an F1 fan, having an F1 channel like this, I'm just enjoying sitting down, just chatting positively, really positively, about a race that I really enjoyed watching. Yeah, Hamilton v Verstappen. Obviously, I know there's going to be I just know there's going to be the usual people saying, oh, Hamilton won again, so boring. But as Brundle said, that saying I said at the start, it may be a familiar podium, but it's the way it was achieved. It was just so much more entertaining, and I don't care if it's like that, if it's a podium like that in that order, but it's because of the race we got. That's fine by me, but I'm sure, you know for sure, that Red Bull, and especially Verstappen personally, is not going to let that slide, and I think next race, if they're there again, and they have the chance to get it right, and get the win, you know they are. Like I said, though, it's going to be interesting to see. I think a season like this, if they continue to be this close, it's a season where Verstappen can really find extra gears and learn as a driver. I think, like I said, I think there was that case of maybe he was a bit impatient. Maybe there was a better place to pass to get that move done, but you just never know these things. Obviously, you can say a lot of things in hindsight, but it was just really enjoyable, really, really enjoyable. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did enjoy this video, then hit that like button, like I said. If you are new around here, do get subscribed. Like I said, your F1 comments is going to be coming out tomorrow, so look out for that. But till the next one, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Goodbye.